right, ladies and gentlemen, would you please fasten your seatbelts? Put your tray tables in the upright position. We're going to be going through some turbulent territory here this afternoon. I want to talk to you today about power. The dictionary has about 12 different definitions of the word power, everything from an algebraic expression to mechanical forces. But the kind of power I want to talk to you about today is not in the realm of physics or mathematics. It's in the area of human affairs and social conduct. It's the power to alter governments, and it's the power to create the kind of a world in which our children and their children are going to live. Real power. It was 1877 that a French author and playwright by the name of Victor Hugo wrote a book called History of a Crime. It was published into many languages, including English. Very few people have read the book, but almost everyone has heard the English translation of one sentence taken from that book, and that is this one. Greater than the force of mighty armies is the power of an idea whose time has come. And that's the kind of power that I want to discuss with you today. The purpose of my presentation is to advocate an idea that if pursued with enough energy and diligence by a sufficient number of people, is so powerful that the forces of totalitarianism with all of their agencies of coercion cannot stand against it. I have misgivings about this presentation because it really is designed to be the concluding part of a 5-part series, or maybe even a 6-part. Now that I've been working on this Quigley formula, that might even be a 6th part. I don't know. But in any event, this is supposed to be the end of that series. So the danger is that I'll be talking about solutions to a problem, and we haven't yet really talked about or agreed upon what the problem is. And as you know, if you don't agree as to what the problem is, it's most likely we're not going to agree as to what the solution is. It's like walking into a play. We walk into the final act of the play, and here all the conflict is being resolved, the drama is working itself out, and we have no idea what went on before. It doesn't make sense. So that's the danger I face with this, and that's why I have misgivings. So I need to at least give you a quick overview of the problems as I see it, so that you'll understand where I'm coming from when I talk about solutions. As I see it, the problem of society breaks down into 3 categories. One is the growth of government and the loss of freedom. Now that's a very quick summary of a very large subject. You can just imagine what could be discussed in that category of the growth of government and the loss of freedom. You can just imagine in your mind's eye a chart that starts at this end with very low government and big government over here, and the chart goes like this. And a similar chart that shows freedom up here and slavery down here, and the chart is going like this. And you put those 2 charts together and you can track it over the past 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and it's in almost a straight line, if not accelerating in the direction that we don't want to see it go. And without knowing any of the details, you can just look at the chart in your mind's eye, and you can see that if it continues in that direction, we are headed toward totalitarianism. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure it out. We have the growth of government, more and more laws every day that we breathe. There are laws supposedly to protect us against terrorism or pornography or drugs or crime or some such, always for our own good, isn't it? They're going to protect us, these people, whether we like it or not. And the truth is, many people do like it. That's how they get away with it. They sell it as a means of, for your good, we're going to have these laws. And so, with each passing day, we have more and more and more laws until finally, even now, we're beginning to see that we are living in a system which is Got very little room for human freedom anymore, all in the name of protecting us against something. The second area of concern that I have is the corruption in government and hidden agendas. And this usually comes hand in hand with the first one. Where you have so many laws supposedly to protect you from something or other, that gives power to the politicians. And when politicians have great power, there's a temptation to abuse that power. And so we have hidden agendas and profiteering and dishonesty, corruption at the deepest level. We could talk for days on that, and I'm sure each of you in your own mind are thinking of examples of corruption in government. And the third area that I see as a great problem is apathy among the people. There seems to be no indignation out there, no great will to resist, just sort of a passivity. Well, it's not going too good, is it? I wonder what's going to happen next. You know, as though they weren't really involved in this, like they're reading about it in the history book or something. And that annoys me a tremendous amount. In fact, speaking on the topic of apathy, I think I'll give you my 3-minute seminar on apathy. I remember when I was very early in this enlightenment of what's going on in the world, back in the 60s I began to pick up on it. I began to go around to people and I wanted to tell them everything I knew, that I just read about this, I heard about this, and although I didn't grab them by the lapels and shake them, I was close to it, you know. My wife says I was doing that. I wanted everybody to know, and so I was telling everybody what the problem was here and the problem there, and these people would get this glazed look in their eye, you know, and start looking off in the distance, and I thought, what's the matter with these people? They're so apathetic. Don't they know that this affects them and so forth? And I couldn't understand how there could be so much apathy. And then I realized, fortunately, fairly early on, that the problem was not them, it was me. And the reason I say that is I realized that if you and I were in a rubber raft, and we're out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean someplace, and all of a sudden we look over the edge and we see little bubbles coming up over the edge of the raft, and we think, uh-oh, there's a leak in this raft. And we can see the raft is getting a little smaller and smaller and beginning to sag, and we're getting lower and lower in the water, and the bubbles just keep coming. What do? Well, we look at the bubbles and we think, oh, this is not good news. And we just lie there and sink. We are the picture of apathy. Why? Because there's nothing we can do. But, now change the picture. Suppose the same situation exists and we look around the raft and there's an air pump and a place to screw it in and something we can do. Now we're different. We've got that air pump going. We are Mr. and Mrs. Activism. And the only difference between those two pictures is that in the second case, there was something that could be done. Something, at least, that could be done. And I realized then that I had done such a good job of convincing my listeners that things were so bad that there was nothing could be done. It was too late. And I created the apathy myself. Think about that. We do this. I still do it once in a while, but I try not to. From that point forward, I've always said to myself, there's got to be, when we talk about situations like this, there's got to be some view of a solution. Otherwise, what are you wasting your time for? Easier said than done, though. Easier said, let's have a solution, than to have a real solution. To find a solution, a real one, I think we must first know what will not work. Because otherwise, we could spend a lot of time and energy running down dead ends, wasting